Hey folks, Marcus here, and welcome back. Today, I'm breaking down what drivers actually earn in Brooklyn, New York in 2025 with all the real details. I spent a full week driving both Uber and Lyft, carefully tracking every dollar and every hour on the road. Brooklyn's always busy, but it's got its own headaches, traffic, expenses, and plenty of competition for rides. I'll show you my real numbers, gross earnings, expenses, and exactly what I actually took home at the end. Let's dive in and see what a real week of rideshare driving in Brooklyn actually looks like. Let's break down the hours I actually put in as a full-time rideshare driver in Brooklyn. This isn't just about the time you see on the app, it's about the real commitment behind the numbers. Over the course of 6 days, I clocked in a total of 50 hours. That's pretty standard for someone treating this as a full-time job, but it's not as simple as just driving around and picking up passengers. Those 50 hours include everything: time spent logged into Uber and Lyft, waiting for ride requests, driving to pick up passengers, and of course the actual trips themselves. It's a mix of action and downtime, and every minute counts. I strategically focused on the busiest times: morning and evening rush hours when commuters flood the streets, and late nights on weekends when the city comes alive. These are the hours when demand spikes, and you have the best shot at maximizing your earnings. But here's the reality. Out of those 50 hours, only 38 were actually spent with passengers in the car. The rest of the time I was either waiting for a ride request or driving to pick someone up. That's a lot of unpaid time that adds up quickly. You don't earn anything during downtime, so learning how to minimize it is crucial if you want to make this work. It's a constant game of strategy, knowing where to be and when, and staying patient during the slow stretches. Spending 50 hours behind the wheel in a single week is no joke. It's physically draining, your back aches, your eyes get tired, and you have to stay alert through long stretches of traffic and late nights. Mentally, it can be just as tough, especially when you're dealing with unpredictable passengers or stressful city driving. If you're considering driving full-time, be honest with yourself about the stamina and discipline it takes. It's not just about having a car and a phone, it's about being able to handle the grind day in and day out. Turning on the app is just the beginning. You have to manage your energy, stay sharp, and keep your motivation up, even when things get slow or challenging. This is the level of commitment and effort it really took to earn the money I'm about to show you. It's a demanding job, but if you're up for it, the rewards can be worth it. Here's the number everyone wants: gross earnings. After 50 hours, I made $1,550 from Uber and Lyft, including bonuses. That averages out to $31 an hour before expenses. Some hours were great, $45 during surge pricing, others not so much. This number doesn't include tips, just what the apps paid for fares. It's exciting, but remember, this is before any costs. The real story is what's left after expenses. Let's see how much of that $1,550 I actually kept. Now let's break down the real costs of driving for Uber in Brooklyn. It's easy to look at your weekly earnings and feel good, but the expenses add up fast, and they're often overlooked by new drivers. Gas was by far my biggest expense, $180 for the week, driving 1,200 miles at $3.75 a gallon. That's a lot of time at the pump, and with prices always fluctuating, it's a cost you can't control. Then there are the tolls. In New York City, tolls are just part of the job. $125 out of pocket, even after some reimbursements from Uber. Some bridges and tunnels can cost over $10 each way, and those fees add up quickly if you're driving all over the city. So just to keep my car moving for the week, I spent $305 on gas and tolls alone. That's money you have to pay up front before you even think about your actual earnings. But the expenses don't stop there. Every mile you drive puts wear and tear on your car. Oil changes, brakes, tires, and unexpected repairs. These costs sneak up on you if you're not careful. A smart driver sets aside 10 to 15 cents per mile for maintenance and repairs. For my 1,200 miles, that's another $120 to $180 I should be saving for future repairs, even if I didn't spend it this week. It's easy to ignore these costs when your car is running smoothly, but eventually, every driver faces a big repair bill. Planning ahead is the only way to avoid nasty surprises. So, before taxes or long-term costs, my $1,550 in gross earnings is already down by $305 in immediate expenses, and realistically, even more if you count future repairs. This is why looking at gross earnings can be so misleading. The number on your app isn't what you actually take home. The real money is what's left after you pay to keep your car on the road. Fuel, tolls, maintenance, and all the little things that add up. Every driver needs to plan for these expenses, track them carefully, and set aside money each week. It's the only way to know if driving is really worth it for you. So after all these deductions, what did I actually take home? Let's break down my real net earnings. Now let's get into the real numbers. My actual net profit as a Brooklyn Uber driver. This is where all the hard work, long hours, and careful tracking come together to show what I really take home at the end of the week. My gross earnings for the week were $1,550. But before I can even think about spending any of that, I have to subtract my biggest weekly costs, gas and tolls. Those came out to $305, which is a pretty typical amount for a full-time driver in the city. After those immediate expenses, I'm left with $1,245 for the week. If you break that down by the 50 hours I worked, it comes out to about $24.90 an hour. Not bad, but there's more to the story. Tips are a big part of my income and they can really make a difference. This week, I earned $150 in tips, most of them coming through the app, but a few in cash from generous passengers. When I add those tips to my net earnings, my total take-home pay for the week jumps to $1,395. That's for 50 hours of work, which means my effective hourly rate is now $27.90. Seeing that higher hourly rate feels rewarding, but it's important to remember that this isn't the whole picture. This number is before taxes and before I account for long-term maintenance on my car, things like oil changes, new tires, and unexpected repairs. As an independent contractor, I'm responsible for setting aside money for both taxes and future expenses. That means I have to be disciplined about saving, or I could end up in trouble when tax season rolls around or if my car needs a big repair. The headline numbers might look impressive at first glance, but the real story is in the details. Every dollar earned and every dollar spent matters. Driving in Brooklyn can be profitable, but only if you're diligent about tracking every expense and planning ahead for the costs that don't show up right away. Next, let's dive into what it's actually like out on the streets and how the day-to-day reality shapes these numbers. Brooklyn isn't easy. Traffic is brutal. Rush hour can turn a 15-minute trip into 45. More time in traffic means more gas burned and less money per hour. Parking is a nightmare. Double parking risks tickets and legal spots are rare. You're constantly dodging pedestrians, cyclists, and delivery e-bikes. One-way streets, aggressive drivers, and potholes keep you on your toes. You need a TLC license, commercial insurance, and have to follow strict city rules. The job demands focus, patience, and resilience. It's not just about driving, it's about surviving the chaos. If you can handle Brooklyn, you can handle anywhere. So, is it worth it? Nearly $28 an hour net is solid, and demand is high if you work smart. But it's not for everyone. The stress, long hours, and city chaos are real. You need discipline, track expenses, set aside money for taxes, and know your numbers. Learn the borough, use both apps, and always prioritize safety. For the right person, Brooklyn driving can be rewarding and profitable. But go in with your eyes open. This job is a grind. If you're ready for the challenge, you can make it work.